It's Scotch doubles with the winner breaking. There's a 30-second shot clock with one extension per rack, and the quarter-finals are a race to 9. Chinese Taipei won the lag. Commentary from Ted Lerner and Phil Yates.
Well, in terms of racks lost to reach the quarter-finals, Chinese Taipei have been the best of the lot. They've lost 2 racks in total, whereas the USA have lost 10. Not a bad break, but the one ball not cooperating.
Chang starts us out with a safety. And that'll bring up Shane Van Boening to the table with his partner Skyler Woodward. Kind of like the Americans, even though they have had a few struggles on the table, they haven't had a chance to play a perfect match. They remain ever confident. This was Shane with the jump cue. They're nearly scratched. And he will leave that on.
Shane Van Boening on the left from South Dakota, on the right from the bluegrass state of Kentucky, Skyler Woodward.
2 country boys. Happen to be superb pool players. He chose to play safe instead of go for the 1. Looks like the 2 is tied up. Might want to get a closer look at the 2 and the 4, see if it goes anywhere. That would determine what they want to do if somebody wants to take on this 1 ball. Yeah, those are married together. All sorts of clusters there to hide the balls behind for good safeties. Beautifully done. Chang. What a shot.
The brilliance that carried him to the 2015 US Open title, the first player from his country to lift that particular trophy.
That's the kind of shot making Chang was making yesterday. Very difficult shots, making them with ease, and that led to that utter destruction of Team Greece, 7-1. So there was no path there for the 2 ball, but that appears that it may be open. Although we'll have to get a better angle.
It is open, Ted. And so will the American Eagle swoop. Just so clever, so subtle, opening up the entire rack. Very simplistic, knowing full well he'd hold on the 4 ball. Lovely stuff from Shane Van Boening. Over the last decade, you have to say, the decade in its entirety, he has been the man in pool. The only black spot on his career CV, his performances in the Moscone Cup. Brilliant as an individual, as a team man, yet to get the touch paper lit.
Well, they made it to the finals last year in London here in this event, the World Cup of Pool, and they played fantastic. So, you know, there's something to be said about it. Maybe it's just the Moscone environment. But Cheng can play team pool. People like to talk all the time. There was talk there for a while, oh, Shane can't win overseas, and then he goes and wins 2 World Pool Masters events, and then they said, well, it wasn't an open tournament. Well, he got to 2 straight finals of the World 9-Ball Championship. Not an easy event to win with 128 players. He has proved the naysayers wrong on many occasions, and I've no doubt that he'll have success in this and the Moscone Cup in the future. Who knows?
The Americans have a chance. They've got a great chance here. They've taken the opening rack.
Shane works for hours a day on the break shot alone. And there you go. How about that? He's got 2 balls down, and after this yellow 1, be heading over to the right there to the pink 4. Wide open, Phil. Can't stress enough in 9-ball how important the break shot is. Doesn't matter how good your opponent is, if they're stuck in the chair while you're breaking and running, there's simply nothing they can do.
We saw that in the first quarter-final this afternoon. Holland, having lost the lag, didn't get a shot until late in rack number 4. A single shot.
The other thing with Van Boening is, and you could say the same for Woodward, but especially Van Boening, is he always talks about putting packs on opponents, which means he loves the winter breaks format in which you can stay at the table and put many racks together and keep your opponent in their chair. This is ideally suited for Shane Van Boening.
I think he's like most great individual sportsmen. He gets a kick out of not just winning, but winning in style and by a huge margin.
So his partner Skyler Woodward takes home the 9, a break and run for Team USA. They lead Chinese Taipei 2-0.
Welcome back to Shanghai in the penultimate quarter-final from this year's World Cup of Pool. The US have started well and currently lead Chinese Taipei 2-0. This is now the third. Let's get back to Phil Yates.
How annoying that 7-ball coming down and removing the 1 from an unpottable, or an unmissable position, I should say.
Yeah, it was just at the last second. The 7 nudged the yellow 1 out of the way, but actually the 1, they didn't want the 1 there in any way. The 1 hit the knuckle of the side. Generally, the 1 they want to avoid the pocket and bring it down table. So if that were the case, and usually it is, the percentage-wise, usually the one does go back up table to where they're breaking from. That would have had a shot on the cue ball. So you can see the strategy there.
Have to judge the one, the reaction of the 8 ball, the speed on the cue ball. All worked out.
Extension call.
The force close to the pockets. 174.
Cheng looking for cover, and he doesn't find it. He leaves it open. So the 2 ball is covered by the 7, but they can combo that in.
Extension call.
They have to get the position. Or perhaps bring it the other way. Well, he's pointing right there. That's where he wants to leave it for the 2. Got to make it first. That's something in that gap, and now Shane can bring it up table, and there'll be position on the red 3.
Look at this. 1 in, couple of gaps found. In fact, 3 gaps found. The kiss on the brown 7 ball, magical.
This really bodes well for Team USA. Breaking well, and Skyler Woodward hitting the ball like that.
Needs to be careful that his clothes don't brush that brown ball. They didn't. He wasn't quite down on the shot as he would have been, purely because of that.
So much self-belief by the Americans. Tony Wrighton, our colleague, presenter, asked yesterday, so what do you think are you excited about playing Chinese Taipei? He said no. Skyler said no, they're playing us. Americans feel they own this table.
They do, at the moment, full ownership. That really is very good indeed. The 1 ball, the undoubted highlight of rack number 3, as the Americans forge into a 3-0 lead.
Van Boening broke in the 4th.
Wow, 4 balls. Incredible.
And put America in a strong position. But a miss on the 1 by Woodward allowed Chinese Taipei to clean up, adding their first point on the board. In In rack 5, a dry break by Chinese Taipei was punished by the American duo, who finished with a 5-9 combo to extend their lead. In the next rack, a big miss on the 5-ball by Woodward was not capitalised on by Chinese Taipei, allowing the US to return to the table and open a commanding 5-1 lead.
The USA survive a scare.
This is now the 7th, the US to break.
Well, he's got that yellow 1 ball down. Long shot on the 2.
Well, on his last break, he potted 4 balls and left a 1, which was simpler than this, to the same bottom pocket. Woodward missed it. This is the 2 ball I'm talking about, much more difficult. So much so, in fact, I think they're talking about tactical options. There you see, average number of balls on the break. A couple for the USA. Half a ball for Chinese Taipei.
Very nearly made the 6 ball and they would have continued to shoot. Yeah, if you're only making half a ball, it's going to take you a long time to finish a rack.
Well, it's got to be the 3-6 combo.
Extension call.
This should be negotiated, but after that terrible attempt at containment at the tail end of the previous rack, I'm taking absolutely nothing for granted. A nice, simple, stress-free run out. That's what Chinese Taipei would have hoped for, and that's what is on the table. Okay, a large distance between 8 and 9, so doesn't want to be too straight on the 8. Enough angle there.
And what they need is, after hopefully getting this point, they need a break and run. They need to be at the table, making some balls, getting that table time in a rhythm. That's what they haven't been able to do, is getting in a good rhythm. It's been the USA who's got that rhythm so far in this match. Just have to park the Americans in those nice comfy black chairs over there for a few minutes. There it is. So 5-2 now. Americans still in control, but it'll be Chinese Taipei breaking in rack number 8.
Welcome back to Shanghai, where it's the quarter-final stage of this year's World Cup of Pool. The US have looked comfortable so far, leading Chinese Taipei 5-2 in the race to 9. In the 8th, a break and run out by Chinese Taipei saw them claim another rack, reducing the deficit to 2.
Very much in it now.
We rejoin play for the start of rack 9. Commentary comes from Ted Lerner and Phil Yates.
All kinds of collisions on the cue ball. Look at this. 9 ball hits it, 8, 3. And in the end, it worked out okay. Well, I'll tell you what, this must be a tough shot to reach if Chang Jung-Lin can't reach it. Doesn't need the bridge very often. Got it all, man. And the question to whether the 2 is spottable has been answered. There is room past the 9. There you see it. Clear space. Has
So
he knocked
now
on
that-
a 5-9 combination, Tim?
Yes. The 9 was knocked into the, yeah, sorry about that, Phil, but the 9 was knocked into the area where the 5 is. So you saw Kevin Cheng get right down. So it'll be after this shot, bring over the cue ball for the 5-9.
Extension call.
Boy, they've gotten some good table time now. They've had the Americans in the chair for almost 10 minutes. This to get within 1.
Well done indeed. At 5-1, Chinese Taipei were reeling. Now, though, they're reeling in the Americans.
The cue ball got away from him. That's how it ended up at the bottom of the table. Although there is an open shot on the 1.
Yes, and I think the position of the 8 will ease the 1 in. It's made it a slightly big pocket.
This is really like a heavyweight boxing fight. These 2 trading blows back and forth. The USA out to a 5-1 lead in absolute total control, playing great. Hand over the table, and just like that, Chinese Taipei gets it together in the nick of time. They're back to 5-4. Said it, Phil. Good call.
Extension.
So they need position all the way back down table on the pink 4 after the 2 ball. He didn't get there. And after this safety, this will bring the Americans back up to the table.
I think he's actually snookered Kevin Cheng behind the 6 ball. just didn't get hold of that white at all.
Oh, look at that. Fantastic safety. Very clever from Kevin Cheng. Smart pool player. Now, USA, it's been over 10 minutes now. They've been sitting in the chair, so they come back cold, and this is what they come back to.
And this isn't just a hook. It's a really, really troublesome snooker.
Extension call.
Well, I think this is the definition of one of those shots where you need your extension. Maximum thinking time required.
Foul.
No. He hit the 9-ball first, and that's a foul. And folks, we're looking at a tie ball game in the quarterfinals between two of the best.
Just a series of routine shots here. The two players making sure they know where the other one wants to be. A little bit of communication, but this is just as straightforward as you like.
Feel the confidence must be building for Chinese Taipei at this point. They really came through the ringer early in the match. They were down 5-1. It looked like the USA was cruising to a spot in the semifinals. Now it is Chinese Taipei in control.
Well, the way Kevin Cheng got the snooker out of the snooker, that was like turning scrap metal into gold.
Very good way to put it. Absolutely brilliant. You're sitting there wondering, what exactly is he going to do? Is he just going to take a whack at it? And that could be the best safety that we've seen so far. Putting the Americans in jail, forcing a foul and getting the points.
Welcome back to the 2018 World Cup of Pool, where Chinese Taipei have won 4 racks in a row to level their quarter-final match with the US at 5 apiece. This is now the 11th. Phil Yates picks up the action.
Now that's amazing. Didn't he do exactly the same thing last time he broke? Leave the 8-ball right in the jaws of this top right-hand pocket.
Yes, he did. Exactly in that location. And we don't pattern rack here. Well, nothing clean on the 1-ball for USA.
Small stick means high jump. Now, is it possible to come off the 1 and as a fail-safe, knocking the 8. Then, of course, he has to think about the 2, and so why would you do it? Just popped the ball directly. That was better for position. But another tester coming up with the cue ball so close to the cushion.
It's Kevin Chang doing the shooting. So, yeah, he's the kind of guy that you like to see take on these really difficult shots. He is on another planet.
That was nifty also. Not just the pot, but position as well. Well, the 5-8 is a given. And it should be relatively easy to leave the 5 somewhere like where the 8 is now. I think the Americans must be anticipating falling behind for the first time.
Beautiful touch.
Played the drag shot there to be able to hit the cue ball relatively crisply, while at the same time controlling it, and indeed the 5.
What an awesome display of 9-ball. Well, yesterday we often say anybody can be a great front runner. They were leading Greece the entire match. Here, different story. They were down 5-1. It's very easy to fold up your tent when you're up against a team that was playing as well as the USA was early on. But this is in another level.
Won't be happy to see the cue ball stop directly under the side cushion. You never know under this kind of pressure, even though it should be routine. Just getting the cue ball cleaned with 30 seconds on the clock. And the referee industrious, no problem.
You see him looking at the clock, making sure he has enough time.
5 in succession.
In the 12th, a break and run out from Chinese Taipei saw them claim their 6th rack on the bounce. We rejoin play for rack 13.
This time he gets a ball down in the corner. Cue ball gets away from him, but shot on the 1 for Chang.
Yes, I think you're right, Ted. I think the greatest compliment you can play Kevin Cheng at the moment is that Chang Jung-Lin is playing a very good supporting act. And not many people say that about him, because normally he's the star. I'm sure he doesn't mind in the slightest. If he could float this one in, American woes intensify.
Tension call.
He's just looking for a chance. Shane Van Boening. They just need to get at the table with a look. Not going to come yet. Amazing. Amazing.
Well, in team environments around the world, all kinds of sporting arenas, you see wonderful individual accomplishments. Cricket, football, you name it. And Kevin Cheng is producing one of those wondrous performances. I'm led to believe Chinese Taipei have missed one pot in the entire match so far.
You just get the feeling that they own this table. They have a great rhythm, a pace around the table. They're not in any hurry, which is also good for them because it makes the Americans just sit there. The Americans have been almost an afterthought here for over 30 minutes. This is an absolute masterclass in Scotch doubles pool.
They steamrolled Chinese Taipei, Albania and Greece, and now from 5-1 down, they're doing exactly the same to the good old USA. All very well playing brilliantly when you're front running. To do it from well behind, that's something else entirely. And the beat goes on. Chinese Taipei one rack away from victory. If he pots a ball here and the rest of them go open, the Spanish and the Chinese might be opening their cue cases. Bingo.
One ball down. That is the number one. Goes right in the side and a shot on the blue two. With plenty of angle, Phil. Look at that. That's laid out very nicely. The three is all the way down table.
Just refusing to get excited.
Tension call.
Taking all of the necessary time, using their extension. Quite thin this, which means control of the cue ball is compromised. But didn't really need a great amount of control, just avoid the six nicely on the three. Natural angle to be on the 4. Join the dots. Thank you very much.
It's almost like we have spent the last 45 minutes watching a clinic in Scotch doubles pool, because I don't really recall seeing too much of Shane Van Boening and Skyler Woodward, except when our terrific cameraman and director choose a shot with them sitting in the chair, watching like all of us.
What I like about this, they are far too experienced to get carried away, take anything for granted, just going through their process, their routines. Another rack, that's what they're approaching this as. Not the decisive one, just any rack, get the job done.
Phil, let's turn the clock back to the first part of the match. It can't be stressed enough. The USA didn't really falter in this match, did they? They didn't really collapse at all. They were playing fantastic Scotch doubles 9-ball.
It all turned around when, after the USA put Chinese Taipei in a snooker, Kevin Cheng got out of the snooker and put them in a real head scratcher in behind the 8-ball. After that, it's been a case of, for the Americans, watch and try at least to admire. They can't beat themselves up over this.
No, what they have to do is stand up, shake their hands, and then clap like everyone else in the arena and at home for one of the finest performances we have ever seen.
That wasn't up to his normal standard, Chang, but hard to imagine Kevin Cheng's going to miss this. Flawless. He's been flawless.
Well done. Bravo.
What a display that was. 5-1 down at their lowest ebb, but they win so impressively, 9-5.